Good morning, happy Friday, everybody. It is Building Blocks, it's Friday, and today we are going to go over the guest features available to you inside of interview mode. Whether you are new to interview mode, which is great because, since we're going to go over some of the features, we'll go over like the basics of when you first join interview mode via the Google Chrome browser. We'll go through all that stuff, and then we'll go over some pretty cool features. And if you need a refresher, such as myself, there are some features in there that I didn't know really sure like how they were working or if they were still working, but they work and they work great. And you could also use those features to create some really standout scenes inside of Ecamm with all the features available on the Ecamm end, right? And you'll wonder how come I didn't use these features before and I'm still using Zoom for doing stuff like screen share. So we're going to get into all of that. I saw some people talking about some coffee and all that stuff. That's really great. Good morning to you, Dan. Good morning to you, Mr. Moderator Paul Duncan. Thank you for everything in advance, as always. Good morning. Tech Troublemaker is in the building. Hello, hello, hello. And those of you watching, tuning in, hello, good morning to you. And if you have any questions along the way, please hit that Q colon. I don't have vertical Paul with me today, but I do have horizontal Paul. Here we go. Horizontal Paul is here. Right, so we're going to get into it soon. G. Albert, good to see you here. And yes, happy Cinco de Mayo. And checking out this comment from Paul. Embrace the power of the like button, young Padawans. Let the force of appreciation flow through you. Yes. And in the spirit of yesterday, May the 4th be with you, but now it's May 5th. Now we're into Cinco de Mayo and looking forward to some tacos, hopefully later today. We'll see. We don't know. Anyway, so let's go into, first of all, I'm going to show you what I have here on my end, right? We're going to go into live demo mode, Shift Command D. So I'm going to show you the interview window, what happens in the interview window when somebody joins in, right? That's one. And then what you're going to see also in the camera switcher as well, right? So again, depending on what the guest is doing on the interview end, you're going to get those into the interview window. You're going to get that into the camera switcher, and you can use that to create your scenes and set up your guest for success. Set up your guest for success. Let's get out of live demo mode real quick, and let's go to here. You're probably going to get the infinite thing once we join, but let's just orient everybody with what we have here. So when somebody joins, this is what you're going to see. You're going to have the option to select your camera. In this case, we'll just stick with the blurry HD FaceTime camera. Although I wiped it down, so that's as good as it gets. And the microphone of choice, right? In this case, we'll just keep it with the MacBook Pro microphone. I have the volume turned down so we don't have any echoing or any slapback issues or whatever, right? So we'll pick that. And then you have the mono stereo here. And this is where you enter your name. Think of it as Zoom also, right? So Zoom is similar where, of course, when you join, you have a Zoom account and whatnot. You could, your name is already set up, but you don't have to go through the process of entering your name. But when you do join Zoom, you have to select your audio and you have to select your camera, right? So think of it that way. And also at the bottom here, it's covered, but you'll see when you join, it says that the host has turned off audio processing. So on the Ecamm end, I turned that off. So that means that headphones will be required, right? So think of that way. So if the audio processing is turned off, then headphones will be required, and then, because I don't use the echo cancellation features. This way you get the better audio quality, right? So we're going to join. And then on Shift Command D, so now you could see this screen here, the Ecamm screen. Fuljens is joining, so I'm going to let Fuljens in. and Fuljens is muted, right? So Fuljens is currently in the green room, right? So now, just wanted you to see that process. So in interview window, you're going to see my main camera, and then you're going to see the guest camera, which will be assigned to guest number 1, right? It's assigned to guest number 1 right now. And also check out what's going on in the camera switcher. You have the Camlink 4K, and you have the HDMI capture. That's how I'm showing you the laptop production there. And then you'll also have guest 1. That's this guest 1 Fuljens, right? So you have that for now, right? So you have those 3 cameras in the camera switcher for now. Okay. So now let's go back to, just get out of demo mode. Let's get out of demo mode. And right now you should just be seeing the Mac, right? So again, you're going to see the infinite crap going on. Don't mind that. Just want to show you what's happening now at the bottom of the screen here, right? So we're muted. So we select the muted here. You have screen share. You have hang up to get out. And then you have these up down arrows. So these up down arrows are to swap the camera feed, right? So you're going to see so I can see the broadcast, or I can swap that so I can see just how my camera is looking, right? Because sometimes in interview mode, the broadcast may, you're looking at yourself in the broadcast and you may seem pixelated or whatnot, but just to make sure that you look good and, your camera feed and whatnot is looking good, just hit the up down arrow thing right here. You swap that and you can see that your feed is looking great. This feed is looking great because this is the FaceTime camera on the MacBook. So this is as good as my feed will get. Okay. So let's swap that back. And then of course you see in the green room, you are not in the show. The host and audience cannot see or hear you. Host has turned off audio processing for this session. Headphones are strongly recommended to avoid an echo. You have the Ecamm logo down here, and then you could choose between light mode or dark mode. And then off to the side here, again, if you have this set up on the Ecamm end, you could allow your guest to see the comments, see and view comments, right? But you cannot interact here. You can only see and view them at the time that the guest joined, right? So at the time that the guest joined, there's a Tech Troublemaker left a comment here saying same. So any comments that come in afterwards, the guest will be able to see that, right? And then you also have guest chat. So here, the guest can interact with the host, right? You can chat privately with the host and other guests. So if I say, hey, over here, hey, then on the Ecamm end, I'm going to see that message on the Ecamm end, right? So, all right. So now I'll go back to demo mode to show you where that will appear. So in the interview window, you see down here, there's a little notification notifying me that the guest has left the chat. So we're going to click on that, and then the chat window will appear, right? So this is where we can interact with our guests, right? So I can say, hey, back, right? And then the guest will get that there on their end, right? So if I go back now, let's move the chat out the way. And let's get out of live demo. So now if I go back here, right, you see it says, hey, back right over here. Right. So that's as far as interaction goes with actually like the guest being able to comment. So you can comment, you could chat privately with the host and other guests. And the comments, you're able to view the comments, but not interact in this browser with the comments, right? Okay, so so we covered that. We covered the chat window. We covered the comments, and we also covered the mute unmute. Right. So right now the guest is muted, and the guest is currently in the green room, and you have this up down here, so you could swap the camera, so you could check out your feed. If the broadcast is looking kind of funny, you just swap that and just make sure that your camera is good on your end. So now you could just blame the the Ecamm host and not, right, and not yourself, right? All right, so we'll leave it like that for now. We'll leave it like that for now, just so it doesn't have that infinite scroll going on. Make sure that everyone is good in the comments real quick. May the 5th be with you hits different. Yes. Kimberly, hello. Good morning. Good to see you here. Roy says, ooh, I have never interviewed myself. What a boring show that will be. You should try it. You should try it. Question from Dan. Is there an ability to designate a second producer for a show that has access to add comments and text, etc.? Dan, the best way to go about that, hold on, let me come back here. The best way to go about that is if you have the producer on site. Yes, that's one way to do it, right? So you're both on site and you could divvy up the responsibilities from there. And also, if a producer is handling everything remotely on their end, right? So if I'm the remote producer for a show that you're putting together, for example, then I would be able to access the comments and everything on my end. But in terms of Ecamm wide, in terms of having, let's say Ecamm is set up on your end, and then you bring me in as a remotely through however the feature that would be, and I'm able to access your comments, etc. that way. That cannot be done right now. So it only can be done if, you know, we're on site together, or if I'm controlling your Ecamm remotely, like a remote desktop feature, we can do it that way as well. But there's no feature, there's like no kind of like a remote producer feature available in Ecamm, again, where you and I are controlling Ecamm together from 2 different locations. Yeah, and Paul's comment is coming in saying that Ken and Glenn talked about that as a possibility in 4.1 last month during the Q&A, and there's going to be another Q&A coming up soon, so maybe they'll have a follow-up on that. That'll be freaking awesome. And Roy says the producer runs Ecamm and you be a guest on your own show. Exactly. Yeah. So this way it's like be like a hands-free situation where is that, you you hire a remote producer to basically handle all of that for now, but then just know that you will not have control over those features because, the remote producer has to control the main Ecamm broadcast. Okay, awesome. All right, so now let's get into the fun part of these features that I thought that either weren't working or forgot all about them inside of interview mode. It is pretty cool. So let's go back to the MacBook over here. And then we're squared away with Dan. So down here, actually, let me minimize this browser here, right? So down here, you see the share screen feature, right? So we're going to select that. And for what are we going to share, you ask? We have 2 things. I have a separate browser here because, for screen share, I like to like pop the browser out instead of like sharing a screen on a separate, on a tab. So I like to pop out the window to keep it separate just in case, right? And we also have Keynote here, right? So let's try those 2 things. So if we go to share screen over here, you have these options here. Choose what to share. You can choose to share your Chrome tab, right? And then in this instance, it identified the Ecamm Live tab. You can choose to share a window. So we have Ecamm. This is the Ecamm interview mode. This is the keynote presentation. Or you can choose to share the entire screen. The entire screen. You could choose to share the entire screen. We won't do that. In window, you have these options here. And then the Chrome tab specifically, so we'll stick to Chrome tab and then we're going to select the Ecamm browser, right? So we're going to share that. So now we are sharing the Ecamm, the ecamm.com from the Google Chrome browser, right? So now when we come back to when we come back to Ecamm end, check what's happening now, right? Check what you have in your interview window. In the interview window, you have the guest is still there, and you have a separate feed for the screen share in the interview window. And also in the camera switcher, you now have this camera. You now have the HDMI capture is what I'm showing you to like the back end of the interview window. You also have the screen share, and you have the guest camera, right? So you have full functionality of all these feeds in Ecamm. So when you want to create a scene now, so let's say we wanted to create a scene, we have add a new camera overlay, right? A new camera overlay. Let's delete one of these. There's a little bit of delay there. All right, cool. Something's freezing up. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, new camera overlay, right? And then check this out. So when we click on the pencil here, you have Fuljens' screen, you have the guest one. So both options are available to you separately, right? So if the guest comes in and wants to share something, you can have that separately here. And then up over here for some reason. Maybe I'm doing the most, as Marshall and Katie like to put it. And we have this one here, which will be guest one. And let's make that a circle. Right? So you can set up your scene, arrange your scene however you want it, however you want to, using the screen share features, right? So now you have the guest and you have the guest camera, and you have what the guest is sharing in two separate feeds. And you could arrange it however you want to in Ecamm, create a nice scene for the guest, and you don't have to worry about it looking bland, you know, when using the screen share feature, right? So we have that, and check this out, right? So in real time, it's everything is, you know, there's no delay on my end here. Everything is like scrolling through. It looks pretty smooth over here. So this is with, if we were to share a browser, that looks pretty cool. And you can see the camera. The camera is still working well. All that stuff is looking good, right? And let's stop sharing this for a second. So that will go away. But then if we wanted to share, let's go back to MacBook. Let's try this now, right? So if we have Keynote here, it should behave the same. So we want to share the screen, and then we're going to select Window and Keynote, right? So now anything, right? So if your guest is coming in and specifically wants to share a presentation, or it could be, I want to share Final Cut, or I want to share CapCut, or whatever the case might be, there's an app open, right? So once the app is open, you'll see it there. The guest will see it there in their window. In this case, the app that we have open is Keynote. So if we share that as is, and then we come back to here, this is what it's going to show up, right? You're going to see Keynote like this, because it's just showing the app in raw form. We didn't like create a presentation yet, but even if we were to do that, I'm clicking create over here. Click create over here. So now it's probably opened up a new window. Let me minimize that for a second. Yeah, so it stopped sharing the screen, right? So it stopped sharing the screen. So we're gonna open up Keynote again. I'm just trying to like shrink this down to size so it doesn't take up the whole screen. Boom, there we go. So we share the screen again. And we're going to go to Window, and we're going to select the app, Untitled, Keynote, right? And then it's going to show like this, right? So that's one way, but you don't want it to show like this. Again, this is good for you to know. So if you're having issues with the guests, especially when sharing these presentations, you know exactly what to do. For example, for Keynote, have it set up where it's going to play in window. So if we stop sharing, and we just go to play, it's going to open up the separate window. And hold on a second. Let me just go down here so you can see it. Right. So this is what, if you look in the camera switcher, this is what's going on. Just have the Keynote presentation playing in a different window. So if we go to share screen, let's do that again. Play. So this is what we want to show. We want to show this. And as you can see here in the interview mode, let's go back. Let's go back here. Right? So we want this to show by itself. We don't want to show like the back end of Keynote. So if we have the presentation standalone here, when the guest chooses to share their screen, they can select that and hit share. And then now you can see in demo mode, right over here, you notice that the presentation, right? This will serve as a presentation. The presentation has its own feed. So if we go back to the blank scene here, and this is what it will show like, right? So you'll have the presentation, you'll have the camera overlay here, and you are good to go. You are good to go. And let's see how you guys are doing with the comments. Is that a screen share of the Ecamm tab or the entire Chrome browser? So good question. That was a screen share of the Ecamm tab itself. So let me go back and show you. Tatiana, hello, good to see you here. If we go back to the MacBook, so we're going to stop this screen share. We're going to stop the Keynote screen share. So if you notice here, I just have the browser. So let's close that out completely. And then we just have the tab, right? We just have a tab open. So we're going to go to screen share. And you see it says choose what to share. Hold on, let me clean this interface for you so you can see it much better. Choose what to share, right? So in this case, it says new tab. So we just select new tab and share that, right? So now in live demo mode, as you can see here in the interview panel, you'll have the guest and you'll have a feed for the tab, right? Not the entire screen. But what would happen if we were to share the entire Chrome browser, you ask, Albert? Let's check that out. So if we go back to here and we go to share screen, you can do entire screen. And share that. Right. And basically, that's what it does. The entire screen will show, and you can bring the entire screen into the feed itself. Right. So let's stop sharing that. And let's just go back to share screen, new tab, because it's saying new tab because that's what's open. But if we were to cancel that and then go back to new tab and then just go to merch.ecamm.com. So now when we go to share screen, Ecamm Live Merch will appear right here. And you share that. Boom, right? And then as you can see in the interview window, that browser feed will appear, right? And it'll appear in two places. It'll appear in the interview panel and also appear here in your camera switcher, right? So in the camera switcher now, we can just take this and just drag it onto the screen, and you have the screen share separate, and then we can take the guest, drag them onto the screen, and you have the guest separate as well, right? So you have that option there. Okay. So let's stop sharing this. Actually, let's just go back to get out of live demo mode. So you can see exactly what's going on here. And so hopefully that answers your question, G. Albert. when you give 100%, 110%, sometimes that 10% is too much. Exactly. Exactly. Especially on on the system that I'm running in. Yes, and the next Q&A is May 16th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Paul, for that information. All right. All right, so once again, let's go back to the blank scene that we have here. As you can see, everything is still up and running because we're still sharing the screen here. We have the tab open. And again, the same thing if we were to have another app open. Let me see if I have another app I can share just to test this out. And then there's also a don't do in Ecamm until further notice. We'll go over that in a second. Let's see here. How about this? Rodecaster Pro. I think this is the old Rodecaster Pro app, but let's see if screen share will do its thing. Right, so we have this Rodecaster Pro app over here, and let's stop sharing this, and let's go back here. Let's go to share screen. So it's not a tab, so you won't see it appear in the Chrome tab, but if we go to Window, and you'll see two options here. Window, which will be the browser, so we can share the browser, and then Rodecaster Pro. So let's share that. And if we come back here, live demo, as you can see here, the Rodecaster Pro app is displayed vertically with a black background in the feed, the interview feed, and also here in the camera switcher as well. So if we go back to our blank scene, obviously this camera overlay will not work, right? So if we bring the Rodecaster in, boom, like so, interesting. So let's see how we can fix this up here. Maybe if we do tall. Tall is still, interesting. Let's try this. Let's try to fix this. Let's try to fix this here. And select. So this is like basically bringing in a camera from scratch and selecting the screen here. Wow. All right. So I guess for this app, you're not able to see it with a camera overlay. Well, we'll show you like how to bring it in, so you can see it. But as a camera overlay, it seems like it's not doing its thing. Let's try one more thing here. Oh, hold on a second. Need to like minimize some things here because this thing is being very funny. Come on. All right. That didn't work. So why does not work? Tall, it's cut off still because there's the Rodecaster Pro logo right above it. And if we do something like this, it's not showing. So in this case, it's good to test these things out. What we would do is source camera, and then camera. Whoa. And then camera would be this, right? So this is the other way to do it, right? Instead of bringing in a camera overlay, if the camera overlay doesn't work, do it the OG way. Source camera, and then go to camera and then select the screen share. So this way you have the full screen. You don't have those crop issues with the camera overlay. For some reason, bringing in this app, it's not crop friendly inside of Ecamm. And then you still have your ability to bring in the guest camera, which is pretty cool. And let's say if we wanted to show something in background, let's see if that will work to help it up a little bit. Okay, that works. Right, so you could still add stuff behind it, showing background. So it's not bringing in like an entire 16:9 with the app there and then like a black screen. You could actually add stuff behind it, which is pretty cool. So that's a good way to do that. Pretty cool. Let's see what Gialbert is saying here. FYI, in my situation, I have different Bible scriptures set up in different Chrome tabs and switch from one another with NDI locked in on Chrome browser. Sometimes I'll just do tab. Yes, absolutely. But now if you have a guest coming into interview mode and they have different tabs open for with different tabs with Bible scriptures, you know, they can go through each tab by sharing each tab inside of Ecamm. Or you can do the share entire screen. This way you can just go through each tab without having to stop sharing and start up a new tab. Hey, Paul, know how the camera overlay has the color on the outside? Any way to make it two-tone? So 2 lines of color. I'm trying to figure out so I can personalize the guest camera overlay and their logo. Any way to make it two-tone? Know how the camera overlay has the color on the outside? Huh. 2 lines of color. Dan, are you referring to camera overlay has the color on the outside? So if we bring in, let's say we bring in this here. This thing is just like, remind me to just disable this thing. If we do guest number 2, and it's an outline. It's an outline. The white outline is just for your reference. And then the probably not gonna, oh, let me go into demo mode. Shift Command D. That's probably what's going on here. Right, so the white outline is for your reference, and then if you add a border to that, that's what we'll see on. That's what the viewers will see. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Right, so if there's no border width, it'll just be white like this. But then if we get out of demo mode, I'll just wait for that to show up. I won't see that. The viewers won't see the outline. Right, so, but in terms of like how many tones you can add to the border, you can only add 1 unless you add a custom border. Unless you add a custom border for yourself. Right, so it's just 1 color. So I added that back. I'm just going to wait for it to refresh on my end here so I can see. So now I added it back, and you should be able to see the yellow border. Awesome. Glad that helps. Let's see what else. Aubrey, hello, good to see you here. And awesome. And yes, as Paul says, there's no two-tone ability for the border. You can make a border in the external program. Exactly. So just create a separate border, but Ecamm will just offer you 1. You only get 1. All right. So we'll stop sharing this screen here. And come back over here. But yeah, that is it. That is everything, right? On the guest end, you have, again, let's just go through this again. Just walk you through it. Let's walk you through down here. So when the guest joins, you have the mute unmute feature here. You have the share screen where you can share either tabs or you can share apps, such as we just showed you the Rodecaster Pro. and you can share the entire screen, right? So you have those features there. They are fully functioning. They're working fine. And you do have also, you have the chat box here where you can have the comments coming in, right? So the guest can see the comments. And then you have the guest chat between you and your guests, right? You have that there. And if you don't want your guests to have these features, you could turn them off in Ecamm. I'll show you where you could to go for that. And you have a notification here. So if you on the Ecamm end, you turned off audio processing and you want your guests to wear headphones, there's a note here for the guest, right? On the browser end, okay? And if you were to try to do screen share on a Safari browser, Ecamm will notify you that screen share is only available using Google Chrome. So just to let you know. So so you could test it on your end, but the screen share is only available with Google Chrome browsers. Okay, and now what not to do until further notice. What not to do until further notice. Sharing screen, if you with audio, right? So share tab audio down here. Keep that. Tell your guests to keep that checked off when sharing your screen. Keep it checked off. And if you're sharing anything with audio, do not do it. Do not do it. Hold on a second. Let me get into let me just get into demo mode here. Yeah, so you can see me, right? So yeah, don't use this feature. Don't use the share tab audio feature. Please let your guests know. Do not use the share tab audio feature when sharing, right? And if they have a video that they want to play or share, for now, it's best that they send that to you so you can play it on your end, and then you can bring them as a camera overlay. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I was gonna do a demo live, but I have a video actually recorded. I could share that with you so you can see what will happen if you try to share something with audio. I tried this on YouTube. I tried this on Instagram, but share tab audio is share tab audio across the board. Do not use it. Do not use that feature for now until further notice. So hold on a second. Give me a minute. Let me pull that video for you so you can hear it. This way, I don't have to worry about like any echoing issues and whatnot inside of Ecamm. Let me find that video. Boom, 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 boom. Ecamm live recordings. All right, cool. So let's just do new scene. And let's drag and drop this, and it should automatically play. Hold on. Awesome. All right, so I am here as a guest, and I would like to share my screen with audio. So you can hear me clearly now as a guest in interview mode. I am set to guest number 1. And in the interview, I'm going to share screen, and I have share tab audio checked on, and I'm going to play this YouTube video from the Chrome tab, share. So I'm swap into my oil, and let's play video.
Das ist eine Q-wise real norm access see you in there,
So that's what happens. That's what happens when you share tab audio. So do not do it. Do not do it. So the team is aware of that and they work on that. Yes, Mr. Robot emoji, exactly. So don't do it, right? So in that case, if you need to share video, have the guest send the video over to you, or you know, or share the YouTube link with you and whatnot, and you you can work it that way for now until that issue is fixed. But everything works amazing there. The screen share features work great. Again, as I showed you earlier, you can customize a scene, bringing in the different feeds, because now the screen share and the guest camera, they both come in as camera overlays, and you could adjust them accordingly. And then if you have an app like the Rodecaster Pro app that we showed you that was like too tall, you could still do the original way and just have a blank scene, change the source to camera, and then you could choose the camera, the screen share camera, bring it as a camera, so you'll have the full screen capabilities there, and you could still actually, you know, add a background image if you want to, using Ecamm's show and background feature. So all those features are there. Just don't share audio. Do not share audio. I'll add that to the timestamp. Doc sounds better like this. Now I don't need voice mode for yeah, exactly. Exactly. So repurpose the issue. Use it for something else, you know. You could record your robot voice and then you could just get out there. So I didn't show you the full video, but the moment you stop sharing, so once you stop the screen share, the voice will go back to normal after that. Yes. It's the voice of AI. Exactly. So yeah, so that was it. So that was everything. Just wanted to share with you what the user and experience looks like from the time they get the link. They get the link. You choose your camera. You choose your audio, just like in Zoom that you would do that too, right? You enter your name and then you join, and then when you add them into the Ecamm broadcast, now you have those features where the guests can mute themselves on their end, or you can mute the guests in the green room. And then once you assign them as a guest, you have those amazing screen share features. And the screen share features will show up as a separate camera, so you don't have to worry about losing your guest camera, right? So if your guest is presenting on their end, you could still show the presentation and show your guest at the same time, thanks to Ecamm's isolated video features in the camera switcher. And those video features are also available in the interview window as well, right? So all those things are there. And I said that I would show you how to disable some things in system preferences. So let's go to do that real quick before we sign off, if you don't have any other questions. So let me just show you that real quick. All right. Just want to make sure that I have boom, boom. All right, so for interview, let's go into demo mode. So for interview, guest view, this is where you can choose whether it's the broadcast or the host camera, right? So guest view broadcast, so they'll be able to see everything. And then host camera, they'll just see your mug, right? So if you don't want to see a mug, just select broadcast, and that's that. Ring chime is pretty cool because every time a guest comes in, you get the little ring chime. Auto answer guests, you may not want that feature to be selected, so have that checked off. This way you can manually have a guest. You can manually bring a guest in, and then from there, once they're in, this will allow the guest to go automatically to the green room. So the guest will be in the green room, muted until they're added to the broadcast. So that's good to keep checked. And lower music and movie sound for guests while in off-air audio mode. That's up to you, you know. But normally, when we bring guests in to our shows, that doesn't really do anything. People don't have any issues with that. And there also is a place where, let me just make sure it's here, where you can actually disable the chat. any other stuff. Let me see here. Play app sound, show camera switcher, show program window. Boom, 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 boom. It's not there. It's not there. Disable built-in camera. No. Fade out. No, it's not there. It's been a while since I saw that, though. I thought it would be here. Let me see. All right, so yeah, so it's in the other tab here. So when you go to customize interview settings, it's here. Show viewer comments and show viewer count, allow private chat. So this is where you have all those features here. So right now we have that because when we have guests come in, we want them to see the viewer comments, we want them to see the viewer count. But if you don't want that, make sure you disable that. And here's the private chat here as well, right? So all those features are there. And as I alluded to earlier, I have this feature checked on. So when it's checked on, it will turn off audio processing for guests. This way you can get a better audio quality with your guests. However, they must wear headphones because this will eliminate echo cancellation, right? You eliminate echo cancellation, you get better audio. So have this checked on and make sure they wear headphones. And it's just as simple as that. All right. And also here too is where you can customize, and probably won't allow me to do it live, but this is where you can customize and create different interview profiles, right? So if you don't want it to be the same link, like this Ecamm Network News link here, we can create a different one here, right? So you can have all those features available to you inside of customize interview settings. And I believe this gear icon here, yes, will take you to the same place, right? So you have there's two ways to access that. All right, awesome. So we cover that, and I'll make sure that these things are time stamped. So if somebody is brand new who is looking to to dive into interview mode and just navigate those features, I'll make sure that the timestamps are there. And if somebody needs a refresher, just like I needed a refresher on the screen share features, because the screen share features are pretty awesome. And I honestly did not know until recently that once you use the screen share, and it appears in the interview window, but you don't lose the guest camera. I thought it was either one or the other, but you actually have both. And now the camera switcher makes it even easier because you're able to monitor your camera feeds, you're able to monitor the guest camera feed, and you're able to monitor the screen share as a camera feed, all in the camera switcher at once, which is pretty awesome. So thank you, Ecamm, for this feature that's been here for so long, right? But it's very useful, especially when you're bringing in a guest that has a presentation and needs to use that presentation or whatnot, and we need to show it, and you have them set up, and everything is good to go with no issues. Faith News Media, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. All right, everybody, that was it. We did it. Hopefully this was helpful to you. And hold on, there was another another saying. The like button is a weapon of influence. Bend it to your will and shape the destiny of content creators. Oh, I love it. With that said, happy Friday, everybody. Thank you for joining, and see you next week.